Hello everyone. Today I want to go over the Holliday rework that just happened, the good and the bad. I am a Holliday one trick. I'm currently in Eternus 2. There's my statlocker, you can look me up. Yeah, I am pretty much a one trick. The Yamato games you see is before I learned the game. So most of my games with Yamato is in Phantom. But the moment I started playing Holliday, she became pretty much a character that I one trick. And yeah, I'm very passionate about playing Holliday. And I'm very happy she got a buff. But I do think there are some misses with this current rework. So TLDR, she now has better damage and better scalings on barrels. And a problem that Holliday has had recently since the big hero update is that it's been a power creep in the game, where a lot of characters got a lot more powerful, while Holliday has been this like old character that has damage numbers that were balanced for the old game before everyone got buffs. So she has had very low damage, but because of her peak potential, she has been viable. But she falls off a lot late game and tends to be forced into buying debuff items, and that feels kind of bad. So very happy with this change, that she's now more powerful and more modern. Her damage is currently overtuned and should be nerfed slightly. That just has to happen in the patch notes. I will go into details later. And I'm not a huge fan of the velocity changes to barrels, as it removes creativity and reward for mastery. Before, you could lob a barrel. Let's say someone stood on a platform that was higher elevation than you. If you did a ground barrel, ground melee, you could lob it to hit on top of the building, and in that way either zone people away from that position or poke them like that. You could also more easily chuck barrels down into the hole over the secret shop and stuff like that. You had a bit more control over your barrels before, even though right now, if all you want to do is be high up in the air and just poke people or just shoot them directly at people, it's way easier now than before. But before, you could do way more creative stuff, even though the most normal way to use them, which is just chuck them at people to do damage, is now way better. I think this is just boring. I would love for this to be reverted. And I'm unhappy with Crackshot still being bad. I find it weird that they didn't change Crackshot at all when they did this rework. And I wish that Crackshot would be reworked into something that is more interesting. So let's go over the actual patch notes. I've marked everything I like in green and things I don't like in red. So Powder Keg now has an old cast behavior to place the barrel at her feet. This is a nice quality of life. Before you could do this, but what you would have to do is look directly up or directly down. This was annoying. You had to do it when it was very chaotic. You hit a crucial lasso, you want to put a barrel on your feet, and having to look directly up to do it, it was just clunky. So having an alt cast to put it directly at your feet, very nice quality of life. I welcome this. This also makes her easier to learn and to pick up by new players, which has been like something that people have been complaining about when it comes to Holliday. So I think this is completely fine. Even though it was completely muscle memory for me to look up and just throw a barrel. I think this is a very good change. Powder Keg, various improvements to launch angles, velocities, and feel of casting. This is what I want reverted. I First of all, I think it's kind of unfair the way it is now. It's way too easy. You can shoot them from an incredibly long range. You're like a great Talon with these barrels. You can be so far away and just constantly chuck barrels at people. And it's impossible for them to dodge them. And I just think it's both, like, for one, it's kind of overpowered. And two, it's boring. I think it's boring and it doesn't feel cool to kill people like that. Before, you had to get close, you had to manipulate your own velocity. The faster you moved, the faster the barrel would go. But now the base velocity of barrels is basically as if you had. When you used a barrel on Holliday before, you have a instant, very high speed boost where you bounce up into the air. If you threw a barrel directly after hitting a bounce pad, then it would go just as fast as it does now. But now you don't have to, it's no cost to having such a fast barrel. And as I said before, there were so many creative things you could do with the slow barrel before. The way you could roll before doing a ground barrel to shoot it up into the air to hit a Vindicta. The way you could slow down your momentum. If you wanted to chuck a barrel down into the secret shop through the hole in the roof. If you wanted to shoot at people on the bridge in mid lane or inside the lanes, you could just do a normal lob and it would land directly on the objective. Yeah, there are just so many things, so many ways you could use the old barrels before that was so cool and interesting and fun. And it made like picking Holliday 30 games in a row very fun to do. So I wish this was reverted. And even though I think it makes Holliday harder to pick up for new players, I think it's a very, as long as she has some of the other quality of life changes that she has received, like placing barrels at her feet, I think this is a very fun and interesting way to show skill expression on the character, and it makes the character more fun to learn and put time into. And it also makes it a bit more interesting on how you play against Holliday, because you know that she has to build up momentum to get a fast barrel. So if you slow her, you know that her barrels are weak. But if you're not able to slow her, you know that she can be very strong, and her barrels can be very good. So yeah, I just think it's a way more interesting character if they would revert this change. Anyways, let's move on. Holliday Powder Keg now starts with 2 charges. This is cool. I like this. Now, at first I thought Holliday would be weaker in lane after they reduced the spirit scaling of her barrels. But after playing with the extra 2 charges, this is actually really nice, because instead of starting extra charge on Holliday, which you would normally do before, you can go directly into Mystic Burst. And you can keep cycling Mystic Burst earlier in the lane. And that makes her kind of strong in the early phases of the lane. Now, just as before, after she gets a few spirit items, a few 800 spirit items usually, she will kind of fall off, and then she will just try to get to her big spike, which she will get later with her max barrel. Yeah, this change between charges from 3.5 to 7 seconds, I don't think it really matters. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think it's fine. Because you buy Mystic Burst, you kind of want to wait for Mystic Burst to charge up anyways. So yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I think it's fine. If they need this for Holliday to be balanced in lane, which I can see, she can be very strong on the first wave, or the second wave after she gets Mystic Burst if you don't have this. But yeah, no, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. It's kind of interesting that she has this weakness where she can't just burst you with 2 barrels. So maybe this should be green. Anyways, Powder Keg Spirit Scaling reduced from 1.6 to 1.4. As I said before, Holliday is actually stronger in lane now, thanks to being able to rush Mystic Burst, or she's strong the first like 3 to 4 waves. So I think this is justified. She should have less spirit scaling on the barrels before she maxes them. And then these two is her investment, her tier 2 and tier 3 investments, from 58 damage to 1 charge on the tier 2. This is fine. I like it. The tier 2 spike was a very good spike before, and this was when Holliday became kind of good in lane before. She was really weak until she got the tier 2. Then she became kind of strong for like 4 waves, and then she became weak again. Now she's gonna stay slightly weak after this 1 charge. She's still okay, but this is the point where you are kind of weak in the lane. But the 1 charge helps, so it's fine. And then comes the tier 3, and the tier 3 is insane for Holliday. My strat on Holliday right now is to just rush tier 3 power spike, and the moment I get it, I know that I have just 5 minutes where I can literally just find anyone, spam them with barrels, and 100 to 0 them, no counterplay. Okay? This is bullshit. Straight up, it's bullshit. And it has to do with 2 things. I think 100 base damage on the barrels is too much in combination with the 5 seconds, the minus 5 seconds charge time. Because as you can see, she got 3.5 seconds added to her barrels, but then she gets minus 5 seconds on her tier 3 upgrade. So she has, instead of having 3.5 seconds between each barrels, she now has 2 seconds. And when you have rapid recharge, that goes down to 1.4 seconds. So you just bounce powered above someone, and you can literally shoot 4 barrels at them before even thinking about landing. And with 100 base damage and this insane spirit scaling, you can literally, like for the next 5 minutes, just find someone if you have 4 or 5 barrels and just one-shot them. And if you get 2 or 3 picks by just going up to someone and one-shotting them, now you're snowballing. And now you can just... Sorry, my mic cut out. But yeah, now that you have gotten these 2-3 kills, you can just keep snowballing, because now you're fed. So now you can abuse your spirit scaling and just keep snowballing the game and kill people. So I think this is the biggest change that needs to happen. I would rather them just revert it back to 3.5. I'm fine with them just changing this number so that it reduces the charge time down to 3.5. But yeah, I don't really mind how they deal with this. But at max level, it should be 3.5 and not 5 seconds, or at least 3 seconds. Going down to 2 seconds, which becomes 1.4 seconds with rapid recharge, it's just overpowered. It's overpowered, it's unfun to play against, and I feel like shit when I just go and one-shot people. It just feels unfair. And I played Holliday for so long, and I always felt like I played like this honest, cool character. And now I just feel like I'm abusing some broken bullshit. So it just doesn't feel good to me. And I would love for this to be changed. Let's move on. Holliday fixed various issues with placing bounce pad on elevated areas. Is this a joke? Is this a joke? Nothing happened. Whatever. It's still buggy as fuck. Like, I feel like it's almost more buggy now than it was before. But if you don't know, if you stand in an elevated area and you're like aiming towards the edge of the elevated area. Like let's say you're standing on a rooftop and you're at the edge looking down towards, looking at the edge. And if you place the bounce pad, it will literally travel down the building and just land somewhere random on the building instead of at the edge of the rooftop where you would expect it to be. So yeah, this didn't do anything. I don't know. It's still weird as fuck. It's almost more buggy now than before. But it might be because I'm noticing it more. But yeah, they didn't fix anything. Bounce pad landing radius reduced from 12 meters to 9, and then instead of getting more damage on the max bounce pad, which you barely maxed before, it didn't really matter, you barely used this before, now you have a reason to rush in and stomp somebody with the 0.7 stun, which can give you a free lasso. And I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I think it's a bit cheap that she can just stomp someone and get a free lasso. It's a bit overpowered, I think. But it's not that crazy. So I don't know. She's really squishy. She has to actually stomp somebody. There's a lot of counterplay as like if you're able to punish her for going in that close, she can die instantly. So I don't think it's like completely overpowered, but I think it's a bit cheap how you can combo it with just hitting a lasso and then getting a free pick. And then you can't counterspell the lasso, which is a very normal way to counterplay Holliday, is to buy counterspell, and then when you see the lasso animation, you counterspell. If you hit the stun first, they can't counterspell, and now you got them. So yeah, I don't know. You can buy debuff reduction though, so, and it still works against the lasso. So it might be fine. It's really cool that you can fly up into the air and then interrupt stuff like McGinnis ult. That is really cool. So maybe I like this change. It's kind of fun to be able to interrupt stuff. And like if it's a 7 ult in the air, if you see that he's moving towards a rooftop, you can bounce pad and then land on the rooftop next to him and then stun him out of it. That's kind of cool. So maybe I like this change. It's really nice. Okay, maybe this should be green. It's actually really fun. But if it's OP, the way I think it might be OP that she can lasso right after. So maybe reduce the stun duration so that it's just an interrupt. Like maybe down to like 0.4 seconds or something, so that you can actually counterspell the lasso afterwards. But yeah, I think it's actually pretty fun. So I don't mind it. And then the last thing I want to talk about, Crackshot, this ability. Can this ability just be reworked? And here's a little thing about Crackshot. Just landing a headshot, it feels kind of cheap for the enemy to just be headshot and take free damage. And it feels it's both hard to do as Holliday, but it's also so unrewarding. It's just such a boring ability. You can obviously combo it with barrels. Like you hit a barrel, they get slightly CC'd, and then you land a headshot. That's usually what you do. But you do that and you get like 150 damage if you have some spirit. It's not very interesting. It's not. So I don't know. It's usually just 100 damage too. Like 100 damage for landing a headshot. I want this ability to be cool. And my idea for it is that you rework it to an ability called Trickshot. And then it has something to do with you get an empowered bullet if you, for example, do a wall bounce and then shoot right after. Or maybe you do like a little spin, and if you shoot while she's spinning, she does like a 360. You get like half a second of bullet evasion. She does a 360, and then if you shoot right afterwards, she gets like an empowered shot or something. I don't know. I'm not really sure what to do with it, but I think it would be cool if it's called trick shot. I feel like it would fit the character well. Um, yeah, that is everything I had to say about the rework. All in all, I think it's a pretty good change. I'm happy that Holliday got some attention and that she is getting brought up to the power level of other characters. However, I feel like they removed some of the skill expression of the character, and I wish they would remove or revert those parts and keep the fact that she now has better spirit scaling and doesn't get punished for building spirit and trying to carry the game if you're performing well on Holliday. I think she should have the ability to carry games. Yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying Holliday. If you have tried her, if you haven't, go check her out. She's a really fun character. And yeah, have a good day.